Fly, Eagles, fly. The Philadelphia Eagles, once again, are the Super Bowl champions. Their second Super Bowl championship in their franchise's history. Their first one since 2017. So, yeah, the Eagles absolutely dominated, destroyed, embarrassed on live television the Kansas City Chiefs. So, no three-peat for those Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles win this one 40-22, and let's be honest, that scoreboard doesn't do it justice. I mean, the Eagles, that defense absolutely destroyed that offensive line of the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, that was the absolute worst performance I ever seen him compete in my entire life. That was the worst performance I ever seen from Patrick Mahomes in his entire career. I mean, we all know Patrick Mahomes, one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the NFL. He looked absolute. He looked bad. He looked absolute like crap in the Super Bowl 59. And you know, his offensive line did not help him at all. That offensive line got absolutely demolished. They got embarrassed. They got thrown around like a bunch of babies. That defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles, absolute tear. A hell of a performance by the Eagles. It was all defense. They dominated this entire game. They get their rematch. They get their revenge from a couple years ago, Super Bowl 57. The Chiefs won that one 38-35. A little more exciting game that time, but this time, man, the Eagles just dominated the Chiefs. And talk about dominance, here's some stats from CBS.com. Teams that do not blitz in the Super Bowl are 6-0. The Eagles did not blitz once in the Super Bowl. Not once. I mean, look at the Lions in the divisional round. We were blitzing like every other play. In the Super Bowl, the Eagles, Vic Fangio, his defense, did not blitz once in the Super Bowl. They didn't need to. Their front four dominated. They didn't need a blitz. Why would they wait? Why would they waste a blitz? Why would they waste a play? But I saw this statistic and I thought, wow, this is amazing. Teams that do not blitz in the Super Bowl are 6-0. They're undefeated. If you don't send an extra guy, uncovered guy, unbelievable. And then the Philly was that sixth team to be undefeated when they don't blitz. So that was crazy too. Look that up on CBSSports.com. And then the Eagles at one point in this game, in the Super Bowl, you know, this is the biggest game of the NFL. They were up 40-6. 4-0. Yeah, 40-6, ladies and gentlemen, in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left. Domination. I mean, the Chiefs couldn't do anything. Offense, defense, they were god-awful. They didn't show up. They didn't show up because maybe, I don't know, the storyline going into the Super Bowl was, oh, the refs are going to make the favorable calls for the Chiefs. You know, the refs are going to dictate this game. You know what? The officiating actually wasn't that bad. You know, it wasn't bad at all. It could have been a lot worse, but it was actually fair. That's my assessment of the officiating. But maybe, you know, all that, you know, the critics, you know, the people online, the fans, got into their heads saying, hey, you know, you can't win this game if it wasn't for the refs. You know, the refs are on your side. They give you the favorable calls every single time. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. You know, officials, we're all human beings. Stuff happens. You know, crappy calls are made every single game. You know, not just in the NFL, but in basketball, baseball, you know, hockey, boxing, UFC. It happens everywhere. But, dude, the Chiefs were absolutely god-awful. I mean, they didn't show up. What the hell were they doing? How did they prepare? They didn't even take the field. There were times in that game where they were walking. Yeah, not hustling, getting their asses on the line of scrimmage. No, they were walking. Just a regular walk, you know. Hi, you know, la. They're in la land. No, you're playing in the effing Super Bowl, bro. Get your ass on the line. Get ready to knock some heads and get physical. And, you know, right then and there, you just saw the defeat in their eyes, in their body language. The Eagles dominated. They dominated that entire game. So, yeah, the Chiefs were god-awful. And then just to support that, 23 total yards. Yeah, 2-3. 23 total yards from the Chiefs. That was their lowest half. That was the lowest points or lowest yards they've had in the first half under Mahomes. And Mahomes has had 133 starts in his career. That was the lowest amount of yards they've had in the first half in his entire career as a starter. 23 total yards. This is the Chiefs offense we're talking about. Patrick Mahomes, you know, you got Pacheco, Isaiah Pacheco, you got All these great receivers. You got Kelsey, you got Xavier Worthy, who was probably the only great Chiefs player in the Super Bowl. A rookie out of Texas. He actually did something. He actually played his ass off. He actually wanted to compete. Compared to the other guys, you got DeAndre Hopkins dropping a wide open pass. Yeah, not the greatest throw, but come on, it's DeAndre effing Hopkins. I know he's past his prime, but Jesus, dude, you got to catch that. Hollywood Brown, you have all these weapons, and you have 23 total yards in the first half. That's all you have to show for it. 23 total yards, the second fewest in Super Bowl history. Unbelievable. And then, it doesn't, we're not done here. We're not done. It only gets worse for the Chiefs. They didn't score a single point, the Chiefs. Let me tell you something. The Kansas City Chiefs, we've known for many years now, scoring points, making exciting plays on offense, their defense, their run defense. Supposed to be top 10 this year, right? Yeah. No. I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit. But, dude, the Chiefs did not score a single point. They didn't score a single point in this game until the third quarter. The third quarter of the Super Bowl. This is the biggest game. You have to show up. You have to score points. They didn't score a single point until the third quarter with 34 seconds left. So almost the fourth quarter. It almost took them 4 quarters to score a point. And they only scored 6 because obviously they're going for 2. Like I said, 1 point they were down 40-6 in this game in the fourth quarter. So, of course, they're going to go for 2, But, yeah, third quarter, 34 seconds. That was the first point scored by the Chiefs. God awful. Embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Everyone's shocked. Yeah, I am too. I didn't expect the game to go like this. I thought it was going to be better than their first matchup a couple years ago in Super Bowl 57. No, total domination by the Eagles. And then, hold on, we're not done. The first Chiefs play in Eagles territory. This is from CBSSports.com, their Instagram page. The first Chiefs play in Eagles territory did not happen until the third quarter with 2 minutes left. Yeah, they almost went 4 quarters again without having to play in the Eagles territory. So that just shows you how dominant the Eagles defense was. That defensive line dominated that offensive line. They got to Mahomes. They destroyed him. They kicked his ass. They absolutely dominated that game. So, the Eagles win this one 40-22, as I mentioned. Their second Super Bowl in franchise history. The first one since 2017. Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl MVP, rightfully so. He was phenomenal. 2 touchdown passes, a rushing touchdown, the tush push that people want to criticize about. Dude, stop the play. It's that simple. And obviously the Chiefs, they didn't want any of that mess. They don't want that smoke. They really didn't because they looked god-awful. Saquon Barkley, 2,000-yard rusher this year, right? The best running back this season. He only had 57 yards rushing. You didn't even need the running game if you're the Eagles. I mean, crap, your defense scored most of your points. The Jalen Hurts, give him the ball. He scored 3 touchdowns. He was responsible for 3 touchdowns. You had a pick 6. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Saquon Barkley, 57 rushing yards. But then with that amount of rushing yards he had in the Super Bowl, he had the most rushing yards in the season, including the playoffs. Yes, not just this regular season, but including the playoffs. He has the most rushing yards this season, playoffs included. He only had 31 yards in the first half. So he wasn't a factor at all, but you didn't need him. So, team effort from the Eagles. And on 25 carries, 57 yards. That's it. And then this was the first time, we'll talk a little pop culture here because I know there's some pop culture fans out there. This was the first time that the Kansas City Chiefs lost when Taylor Swift's in attendance. The previous 10 games they won when she was watching the Chiefs in her press box because she's, worth billions of dollars. But this was the first time that they lost when she was watching the Super Bowl. And it was funny, too. They booed her out of the building and showed her on the Titantron, the Jumbotron, and she got booed out of the building. And then they cheered their asses off for President Trump. It's awesome, man. It was funny as hell. So you had that going on. And then obviously we gotta go back in the archives. So the Chiefs obviously got dominated, destroyed in the Super Bowl. This isn't the first time they got destroyed in the Super Bowl. Remember, Super Bowl 55, 4 years ago rather, they lost 31-9 to the Buccaneers. Tom Brady's Buccaneers, right? 4 years ago at Super Bowl 55, and then Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes coming into this game, he was 8-0 versus Vic Fangio's defenses. So he's been the defensive coordinator for the Eagles for a while. He was the defensive coordinator. I do believe he was the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos for a minute. But 31-9. or 8-0 rather. 8-0 versus Vic Fangio's defenses coming into this game. Well, Vic Fangio's like, you're not gonna beat us this time, my homie, and that's exactly what happened. Andy Reid, 3-3 Super Bowl record. Mahomes has a 3-2 record now for the Super Bowl. The Eagles, talking about this defense again, 6 sacks on Mahomes, 6, the most in his career, which is insane. So you right then and there, Patrick Mahomes has had a very good offensive line for most of his career, except for the Super Bowl a couple nights ago, Super Bowl 59, when it counted, when it mattered most. Your offensive line couldn't help you, dude. 6 sacks in the Super Bowl. Whew. Dominant performance by the Eagles. Crappy performance by the Chiefs offensive line and Patrick Mahomes, because there's times where you just got to throw the ball away. But then at the same time, he didn't have a chance in hell because the offensive line can't hold their blocks. But yeah, 6 sacks by this Eagles defense on Mahomes, the most in his career. And then they got all those sacks, as I mentioned, without calling the blitz, without blitzing on defense. 6-0 teams in the Super Bowl who don't blitz. They're undefeated. Yeah, maybe you got to trust the defensive lineman. Maybe you got to invest in the defensive lineman. Yeah, I'm talking about to the Detroit Lions. Yeah, your offseason, get defensive linemen. Stay healthy, because beginning of the year, we had a top 5 defense, and then the injuries started piling up. So, yeah, the front 4, your defensive line, very important, especially in the Super Bowl. The stats don't lie, my friend. But yeah, they got 6 sacks without calling the blitz. That's insane. And then from the 2022 team that went to Super Bowl 57, you got 8 new starters on this Eagles defense. So definitely helped, right? You got to invest in defenses. What did they say? Defense wins championships. And that's exactly what happened here. Defense completely controlled this game for the Philadelphia Eagles. So rushing, 139 yards to 49 in favor of the Eagles. Only 11 rush attempts for the Chiefs. They only ran 11 times in this game. You have Isaiah Pacheco. You have Kareem Hunt. You got Samaje Perine. You have options. Run the damn ball. No, we're just going to run it 11 times, and then we're just going to have Mahomes throw it. I do believe he threw it like 30-plus times in that game. But you got to balance it, dude. You can't be too predictable in this game, and that's what the Chiefs did. And the Eagles just laughed in their faces. They just absolutely crushed their dreams, and they destroyed their bodies. And then you had 49 yards total for rushing from Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, and Samaje Perine combined. So 3 running backs, a total of 49 yards. Saquon Barkley by himself had 57 rushing yards, and he wasn't even a key player in this game. Great player overall, but they didn't really need him for the Super Bowl. So, dude, what were the Chiefs thinking in terms of offense? Like, you want Patrick Mahomes to be the star of this game? You want him to get his 4th Super Bowl MVP because he's already got 3 of them. You got to run the damn ball. 49 yards between 3 running backs for the Chiefs. Disgusting. Time of possession, 36 minutes and 58 seconds versus 23 minutes and 2 seconds in favor, of course, of the Eagles, because they were awesome on all sides of the ball. The offense, defense, special teams, they were great. So Mahomes in this game, he was 21 for 32. 257 yards. He still threw for 3 touchdowns, so you got to give him that. Garbage time, right? Because they were already destroyed, dominated by that point. 2 interceptions. One was a pick 6 from Cooper DeJean, draft pick out of Iowa. He's been fantastic all year round. And Zach Bond, linebacker, he threw a pick inside their territory, inside the Kansas City's 14 or 15 yard line, but it set up for a touchdown. So that's 14 points there. Pick 6, and then you throw another pick, which set up an Eagles touchdown. When you gave them favorable field position. So you had that. And then let's go to Xavier Worthy, the only Chiefs player who actually did something in this game. So 8 receptions, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. Those are both rookie records for Super Bowl. We'll get to that later. And then Travis Kelce. Yeah, great tight end Travis Kelce. He only had 4 receptions for 39 yards. He didn't do anything all year long. What was going on there? I think there's something going on between the play calling and maybe Andy Reid and maybe Travis Kelce. I don't know. He might come out saying he was playing hurt all year long, because those are not Travis Kelce numbers. I mean, we've been watching this guy for almost 10 years, damn near 10 years. Four reception for 39 yards in the biggest game of them all, Super Bowl 59. No, that's not the Travis Kelce we know. So I'm thinking he was hurt all season long. Don't worry, we'll probably get a report within the next couple of weeks. Oh, I was playing with a bad back all year long. Oh, my knee was banged up, or I'm going to retire. Something, because that's not Travis Kelce numbers. Even in the playoffs, he wasn't even a factor. Even the regular season, he wasn't a top tight end. Man, Zach Bowers, a rookie out of Georgia, had a better season statistically than Travis Kelce. So something's going on there. I don't know. But yeah, for the Super Bowl, man, that's pathetic. But Xavier Worthy, rookie out of Texas, he did great. So yeah, Jalen Hurts, 17 for 22, 221 yards, 2 passing touchdowns and an interception. He had a rushing touchdown, 11 rushes for 72 yards. That's a Super Bowl record for quarterbacks. Most rushing yards for a quarterback in the Super Bowl. He broke that record. And then Devontae Smith, his 2 top receivers, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith, 4 receptions, 69 yards, a touchdown. And then A.J. Brown, 3 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown. So give it to your best players. Give it to your playmakers. Eagles were absolutely dominant in this game. It wasn't even, it wasn't even a great, it was probably one of the worst Super Bowls I have ever watched. I mean, I can only think of another one, Super Bowl 48, 2014, 11 years ago. It was the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, you guys remember the first play of the Super Bowl. The center throws it over, hikes it over Peyton Manning's head, and it's a safety. 2-0 already in favor of the Seahawks. They ended up winning that Super Bowl 43-8. That was the worst Super Bowl I ever watched. This one, probably the second worst. It wasn't fun. It wasn't exciting. I mean, like most of you, I'm shocked with the result and how this game turned out. I was expecting a fist fight, but the Chiefs were god-awful. A pathetic performance, an embarrassing performance. I mean, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs fan base, if you're a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, you got to feel disgusted. You got to feel embarrassed, because now where do they go? What's going to happen in the offseason with this team? I mean, yes, Patrick Mahomes will be back in the Super Bowl. I guarantee it. Yeah, remember that. But this performance does not look good. It does not look good for him. And then on top of that, dude, at halftime, the Eagles were up 24-0. You didn't score a single point in the first half. So 23 total yards in the first half, the fewest under Patrick Mahomes in his 133 starts for the Kansas City Chiefs. You didn't score any points in the first half. Down 24-0 at halftime. Dude, the writing's on the wall, my friend. You guys were done. You guys were done after the first half. Maybe the third quarter could make a comeback, but 40-6 at one point in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left. Jesus. Yeah, time to pack your bags and go home, dude. It's over. It's over. So, yes, you got the Philadelphia Eagles once again. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm wearing my Jalen Hurts jersey today. For all you Philadelphia Eagles fans, one of the craziest fan bases of all time. I saw videos. They were burning stuff in the street. Yeah, they're nuts over there. But yeah, their second Super Bowl title in franchise history. So congrats to them. First one since 2017. And Jalen Hurts wins his first Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley finally gets a Lombardi ring, or gets the Lombardi trophy, gets a Super Bowl ring after so many horrible years with the New York Giants. So congrats to them. And then Jalen Hurts gets the Super Bowl MVP nod. He deserved it. So now we talk about the game a little bit. Now we got to talk about the GOAT, the greatest of all time discussion, because this was another talking point going to this game. Not just the referees, oh man, they're going to make some favorable calls for the Chiefs. No. Another talking point was, if Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl again, first three-peat in the Super Bowl era, he's the best quarterback of all time. He's better than Brady. No. After this game, no. The GOAT still belongs to Tom Brady. Whether you people like it or not, he is. Tom Brady, 7-3 Super Bowl record. 7 Super Bowl wins, 5 Super Bowl MVPs. He beat Mahomes 2 times. The 2018 AFC Championship game and Super Bowl 55. He beat Mahomes twice. And like I said, 5 Super Bowl MVP. He lost the Super Bowl by a combined, by 15 points combined. So yeah, 15 points combined. He lost the Super Bowl. And, he lost twice to Eli Manning, and he lost once to the Eagles to Nick Foles, right? Yeah, that was crazy. That was a great Super Bowl. And then Mahomes, 3-2 Super Bowl record, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, and he lost the Super Bowl by a combined of 40 points. So every time, the losses for Kansas City, for Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, his team gets absolutely annihilated. 31-9 to the Bucs 4 years ago at Super Bowl 55, and then this past Sunday, Super Bowl 59, lost 40-22. No, you got dominated. You got absolutely annihilated. So the GOAT discussion is over. I don't want to hear it ever again. Okay? Maybe if Patrick Mahomes makes it a couple more times and wins a couple more times, sure, we can visit it again. But right now, today, February 11th, 2025, I don't want to hear any more greatest of all time talk. Tom Brady is still the king. So we're not going to talk about it. So now we got to talk a little bit more about the game in terms of the stats. So this is all this is mostly from CBSSports.com. I pulled something out of PFF, Pro Football Focus, because kind of have to discuss more about the Chiefs, right? I mean, this Chiefs offense was god-awful in this game. The biggest game of the season, and you guys just laid an egg. You took a dump, and that was it. So the Chiefs offense, 6.7 yards per pass attempt, 3.4 yards per carry. That's from Pro Football Focus. So they couldn't do anything. Run, passing the ball. Well, when you get sacked six times, your success rate is going to be very low. So you had that. Jalen Hurts, as I mentioned, he broke the Super Bowl record for most rushing yards by a quarterback, 72, and he set that record in the Super Bowl 57 a couple years ago with 70. So he beat that record by 2 points. So Jalen Hurts, he likes running the ball in the Super Bowl. So you had that going on. And then the Chiefs, they were the 9th back-to-back Super Bowl winner to go for a three-peat, and it just didn't happen for this team. I mean, they got destroyed. Yeah, rest in peace. It's over. So you had that. The Eagles scored 95 points in the Super Bowl and the NFC title game combined. It's the most points that any team has ever scored in those games combined in a single season. The 1989 49ers held the previous record with 85 points in both of those games, the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. So this Eagles team, they score points, man. They don't mess around. And they proved that. They're breaking records. Saquon Barkley, 2,504 yards total, most in a single season, playoffs included. Breaks Terrell Davis's record from the 1998 Broncos team when he had 2,476 rushing yards. And then also the Eagles, first time since the 1998 Broncos win. They win with a leading rusher in the NFL. So first time since the 1998 Broncos that they win the Super Bowl with a leading rusher. So 1998 they had Terrell Davis. He led the league in rushing that year. The 2024 Eagles, they led the league in rushing that year with Saquon Barkley. So almost 30 years. 26 years since the last time a Super Bowl win from a team won the Super Bowl with the leading rusher. So you had that as well. Xavier Worthy, I told you we were going to mention this guy, the rookie of Texas. 157 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Broke the rookie record in both categories in Super Bowl history. So congrats to him. At least he showed up and wanted to play. He was the first rookie in NFL history to have at least 150 plus receiving yards and 2 touchdowns in any playoff game, including the Super Bowl. So you have that too. Devontae Smith, great receiver out of Alabama, plays for the Eagles, obviously. He was the 4th player in NFL history, the 4th, to win a Super Bowl, a Heisman, and a college football national title. Charles Woodson, Marcus Allen, and Tony Dorsett are the other 3. So all Hall of Famers. So Devontae Smith joins elite company there. That's all from CBS Sports. So, dude, this game was absolutely crazy. One of the worst Super Bowls I ever watched. Total domination by the Eagles. The Chiefs should feel embarrassed. I mean, they should not show themselves for a good month. And the Kansas City Chiefs fan base, heartbroken. The Philadelphia Eagles fan base, happy. going crazy. This Super Bowl was just dunzo. It was boring as hell. It was boring. It was boring as hell. The game was horrible. The commercials were horrible. The halftime show, supposed to entertain people, right? And I like Kendrick Lamar. I am a fan of his music. I like what he does. That was not the best halftime show I've seen. It really wasn't. It was god awful. People were like, "Oh yeah, it was good," and then people were like, "Ah, dude, it was bad." It was not the greatest halftime show. And like I said, the commercials sucked. The Super Bowl was god awful. Hopefully next year, maybe Super Bowl 60. Yeah, we're about to have the 60th Super Bowl next year. So hopefully the Detroit Lions, go Lions. Hopefully those guys make it. Stay healthy, invest in the defensive line, get some good draft picks. We gotta get to the Super Bowl because our window is shrinking. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, this Super Bowl was one to forget if you're a Chiefs fan or if you're just a regular fan like myself. God awful, boring, total domination by the Eagles. Congrats to them. Their second one in franchise history. Get ready for next year. So enough with the Super Bowl. Football's over unless you want to watch the god awful UFL. Boring. That comes in March. If you want to watch that, waste your time watching that, go ahead. But the NFL is done. The Super Bowl champions are the Eagles. They're the Lombardi. They hold the Lombardi Trophy. Watch out for that team because this team is not going anywhere. They're going to be competing in playoffs for years to come. So you had that Sunday night, right? God awful. But then Saturday night, you had a fight night. All you fight night fans, all you UFC fans, you like mixed martial arts. UFC 312. You had 2 title fights on this card. You had Dricus Du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. Rematch from the last time they fought. So it was for the middleweight title. 23-2 now is Dricus Du Plessis, or DDP as he's called by his fans. It was his second title defense. And yeah, Sean Strickland, his second loss versus DDP. He drops to 29-7. So, dude, I'm watching this fight. And, dude, Sean Strickland didn't do anything. I mean, he stood there. And Du Plessis was just tagging him every single time. I mean, he broke his nose in the 4th round, and after that, Sean Strickland was like, "Screw this, man, I'm done." I mean, yeah, when you have a broken nose when you're boxing or competing in mixed martial arts, yeah, it sucks because you can't breathe. You got blood everywhere. It's a distraction. It messes your mind up. You can't stay focused because all you're thinking about is, "Oh man, my nose, I can't breathe. There's blood everywhere." And then DDP outstruck him 149 to 316, and then, or 149 to 128. And then Dricus Du Plessis had 149 total shots out of 316 total shots. And Sean Strickland had 128 total shots out of 263. Complete dominance by Du Plessis, Dricus Du Plessis. A phenomenal performance by him. It wasn't the greatest fight. I'll be honest. It wasn't, I was thinking more of a slugfest. Maybe Sean Strickland. Different game plan from last time when they fought. Just didn't happen. And then, the odds going to this fight, minus 235 for DDP, the champion, obviously, plus 190 for Sean Strickland, the challenger. And yeah, DDP won by unanimous decision. Obviously, he dominated this fight. 50-45, 50-45, and 49-46. So that judge who counted 49-46, I want to know what kind of drugs you're taking, because how? You got to be kidding me, right? Like, did you watch the same fight as everyone else? There's no way. Sean Strickland, God bless his soul, he didn't show up, man. I mean, the first 3 rounds, he didn't do anything. DDP was just tagging him, embarrassing him, playing with him. All the rounds throughout the entire fight. And then DDP breaks Sean Strickland's nose, and now there's blood everywhere, and he can't breathe. His nose is, 5 inches bigger than it usually is. Yeah, it's going to mess him up. It's going to throw him off his game, and it did. So 49-46. I want to talk to that judge and see what kind of drugs he was taking, because how? So you had that man, main event, you got to deliver. It wasn't the greatest. But then the co-main event, you had the women's strawweight title, 115-pound title fight. You had Zhang Weili. I've been pronouncing that wrong this entire time, so I do apologize about that. Zhang Weili, the champion, the women's strawweight champion, 115-pound champion, going up against Tatiana Suarez, who coming into this fight was undefeated. Zhang Weili dominated in this fight. I mean, Zhang Weili, 26-3. She beat Suarez, 10-1. Coming into this fight, Tatiana Suarez was undefeated, 10-0. And then she got absolutely dominated by the champion. You know, and Tatiana Suarez, you watch her fights, she's known for takedowns, her wrestling background. And like I said, coming to this fight, she was undefeated. Kicking ass, taking names. But then, again, Zhang Weili, the champion, outstruck her. 232 out of 299 total strikes for Zhang Weili, the champion, versus Tatiana's 63 out of 95 total strikes. And then ground control. Zhang Weili had ground control for almost 11 minutes, 10 minutes and 54 seconds. Tatiana Suarez had ground control for only 5 minutes and 56 seconds. 1 out of 15 Tatiana was in takedown attempts. And then coming into this fight, the champion, Zhang Weili, was the underdog. Believe that? The champion, underdog, coming into this fight. Crazy. 125 plus 125 for Zhang Weili, minus 150 for Tatiana Suarez. She was favored. Maybe that undefeated record, you know, mixed up the odds makers in Vegas there a little bit. But Zhang Weili totally dominated. Both champions for this UFC 12 card retained their titles in dominant fashion. So yeah, Zhang Weili won 49-46, 49-46, 49-45. So, you know, I guess one judge saw it lopsided. Unanimous decision win. Again, not the greatest fight, but you know what? Sometimes that happens. You know, beggars can't be choosers. But yeah, both champions defended their titles in dominant fashion. Dricus du Plessis looks absolutely phenomenal. Zhang Weili, she looks fantastic. Wonder if she's going to fight Valentina Shevchenko next. And then Dricus du Plessis, anyone. You know, I heard maybe he moves up to 205 to take on Alex Pereira. That would be insane. There's been rumors about that. So, but yeah, UFC 312, man. You know, not the greatest pay-per-view. There was one fight that was actually pretty good. It ended in a majority draw. So, yeah, very unfortunate we didn't get a clear-cut winner. But it was Jimmy Crute and Rodolfo Bellato. Two light heavyweights. They beat the crap out of each other. It was fun. It was exciting. It was the fourth fight on the main card. But yeah, it was a majority draw or majority decision. So no one won. And best fight on the card. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. This was not the greatest fight card, but two championship fights. The champions dominated, defended their titles, and now we just gotta move on to the next fight. We got fight night coming up. I do believe this weekend, UFC Fight Night 251. Yeah, Saturday, February 15th. So yeah, this is this weekend. So Kevin Kattar is co-main eventing this one, and then you got Jared Cannonier, who's been around for a long time. He's main eventing this one, middleweight. So watch that one coming up, and then you got Henry Cejudo fighting in a couple weeks. Brandon Allen as well. Dominic Cruz was supposed to fight, but he's on his Instagram or his Facebook, he said he had two shoulder surgeries in 8 months. He's getting old, so he decided just to officially retire. So congrats to Dominic Cruz. Thank you for everything you've done. Enjoy your retirement, my friend. So he's not going to be competing on that card. So yeah, you got a couple of fight nights coming up for UFC, so check those out. But yeah, UFC 312, not the greatest, man. But like I said, beggars can't be choosers. So now we got to hop over to NHL. So I'm looking around because usually the All-Star game's around this time. But now they got the Four Nations face-off. And I guess that's going to take place of the NHL All-Star game, which, okay, different concept. Seems pretty cool. You got 4 countries. You got Canada, Sweden, you got the United States of America, and Finland. So we'll see what happens. So this starts tomorrow night. So all you hockey fanatics, place your bets right now. You got 3 games happening at the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So tomorrow's game starts between Canada and Sweden, 8 p.m. on Max, True TV, TNT. Max, the streaming service. So check that one out. And then you got Thursday's matchup between the United States and Finland. That's going to be on at 8 o'clock on ESPN, ESPN Plus. So you have that. And then Saturday's game, February 15th, you got Finland versus Sweden at 1 o'clock, ABC, ESPN Plus. And then United States versus Canada. That's going to be an interesting one. 8 p.m. on ABC, ESPN Plus. So you got Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. All these games are going to happen at the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And then on Monday, February 17th, we're coming back to stateside. TD Garden, Boston, Massachusetts. Monday, February 17th, you got Canada versus Finland at 1 o'clock. Max, True TV, TNT. And then Sweden versus the United States, 8 p.m. Max, True TV, TNT. So it's kind of like a round robin. Excuse me. They all play against each other. So it's going to be interesting. And then next Thursday, the 20th, is the championship game. So whoever wins, I guess whoever has the most points or has the most wins will compete. 8 p.m. ESPN, ESPN Plus. So check that out. And yeah, it's taking place. It's replacing the All-Star game this year. So we'll see how it is. It's a new concept. We got to try it out. So 4 nations face off. Starts tomorrow. You got Canada and Sweden going at it, 8 o'clock. TNT, True TV, Max, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, 8 p.m. for that one. And then Thursday, a couple days from now, you got the United States of America going up against Finland, Thursday, 8 p.m. on ESPN and ESPN Plus. So check that out. Should be a very interesting one there. So we are going to end this episode today with boxing. Yeah, I know. Don't really touch boxing a lot, but we got to talk about boxing a little bit because there's been a lot of news going on with Canelo Alvarez. He was supposed to fight Jake Paul. That went downhill. So look what happened as a result. So Canelo Alvarez, one of the best boxers of all time. He signed a 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season. The Zone streaming service carries all their sponsored events. So you boxing fans are familiar with the Zone and Riyadh Season. They don't mess around. They want legitimate fights. So Canelo and Jake Paul, as I mentioned, this fight was talked about for May 3rd in Las Vegas, and it was called off out of nowhere. They were talking about it, oh, it's going to happen. Then all of a sudden, boom. It just, no more. Yeah, we're not having this fight. Turki Al-Sheikh. Turki Al-Sheikh. I do believe, yeah, that's how I pronounce his name. So Turki Al-Sheikh, the chairman of the Saudi Arabia General Entertainment Authority. This is the guy he's like the promoter. He puts these fights on for a Riyadh Season. He told Canelo Alvarez, if he went with the Jake Paul fight, that the lucrative, previously agreed upon 3-fight deal would be off the table. That's a lot of money to throw away. So Canelo thought, oh, okay, you know what? We're just going to hang tight on Jake Paul. He can cry about it because, he doesn't have to dictate the outcome, right? And, I mean, why would Jake Paul take this fight in the first place? Okay, yeah, I get it, the money. But then you're actually going up against Canelo Alvarez, who's one of the greatest boxers of all time. He would absolutely destroy you. Yeah, it's funny that you can fight former UFC stars and out of their prime. You can fight a boxer who hasn't competed in over 20 years, who's damn near 60 years old. Yes, I'm talking about Mike Tyson and that travesty that we watched in November on Netflix. That was one of the worst boxing fights I ever watched. But yeah, you go up against an actual boxer, and you want that smoke? I don't think so, Jake Paul. Maybe you should just sit down and cry some more. Yeah, it's not like you don't have enough money, but yeah, you can cry about it. Maybe down the line, maybe you guys can do like an exhibition fight, and then Canelo can just beat the crap out of you. We'll see, though. So yeah, no more Jake Paul, Canelo Alvarez. He signed a 4-fight deal with Riyadh Season. So Canelo's going to be very busy because he's going to have all these fights. And then September comes around, September 13th, the mega fight that we've been waiting, that boxing fans have been wanting for years. Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the May fight, potential opponents for Canelo Alvarez, Jermall Charlo or Bruno Suarez or Sarace. Yeah, Bruno Sarace, excuse me. So potential opponents for Canelo Alvarez. and then it's going to set up for a big mega fight. You know, boxing fans been wanting for years, between him and Terrence Crawford, September 13th in Vegas for the 168-pound title. Crawford, he will have to move up 2 weight classes because he's at 154 right now. So that'll be very interesting if that happens. But man, dude, if that fight happens in September, count me in. I'm going to watch that because that will be one of the biggest boxing events in recent history. So hopefully everything goes well. Hopefully those two, Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, fight if everything goes well and put on a show. So you have that going on. But, you know, we got tons of boxing. We got a big boxing event coming on next weekend, February 22nd. The Zone pay-per-view, you got a big title fight. Big title fight. So you got Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. 12 rounds for Beterbiev's undisputed light heavyweight championship. And Dmitry Bivol, he's 23-1 with 12 KOs. He's 34 years old. Beterbiev is 21-0. He's undefeated, 20 knockouts, and he's 40 years old. So, very interesting matchup here. And it's for the undisputed light heavyweight championship, as I mentioned, February 22nd, next weekend. Bivol, he lost a majority decision. You know, this is a rematch between these two. He lost a majority decision on October 12, 2024 to Beterbiev for the undisputed light heavyweight championship. But he lost the WBA Super and IBO light heavyweight titles as a result. And then the scoring for that fight back in October, 116 to 112, 115 to 113, and then one judge scored at 114 to 114. So very close fight. This fight, I think, is gonna, you know, it's not gonna disappoint. But then for this fight, it's for all the titles. It's for all the gold, all the money for the light heavyweight championship division. So for the WBC, so the World Boxing Council, the IBF, the International Boxing Federation, the WBO, World Boxing Organization, the Ring, which is an American boxing magazine that's been around since 1922, light heavyweight titles. Bivol, as I mentioned, he beat Canelo Alvarez back in May 2022. I remember watching that fight, and I was like, man, Canelo Alvarez cannot hang with this guy. And I get, you know, different weight classes. You know, Canelo Alvarez is a super middleweight. To move up to light heavyweight, that's tough. But yeah, he won that fight against Canelo Alvarez, unanimous decision. He retained the WBA super light heavyweight title as a result. So you got undefeated, undisputed light heavyweight champion Artur Beterbiev defending his title against Dmitry Bivol. Beterbiev, 20 knockouts, 21-0. So he's knocked out everybody for the most part in his career. Bivol, 23-1 record, 12 KOs. This one's going to be an exciting one. February 22nd, next Saturday, the Zone pay-per-view title fight. That's going to be a great one. I might have to watch that with my buddy Kamel Macklid. He's actually a professional boxer himself. He won his first fight back in December. First round knockout, as I mentioned a couple of episodes ago. Minute 30, that's all he needed. The guy didn't want no more of Kamel Macklid. So he's 1-0 in his pro career. So I might have to watch it with him. I'll see what he's doing for that fight. But yeah, we actually talked today. I trained with him today, and he sounded pretty excited about next weekend's fight card. But yeah, that's going to be the main event. Undisputed light heavyweight championship on the line. Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. 12 rounds for Beterbiev's undisputed light heavyweight championship. Place your bets right now. Saturday, February 22nd. It's going to be a good one. So yeah, that's boxing. And with that being said, we are done with Guys Time with the Brides today. So thank you for joining me. I know we covered the Super Bowl. We covered the Four Nations Face-Off. We covered UFC 312. We've talked about boxing a little bit. So thank you for joining me on this edition of Guys Time with the Brides. This episode is going to be available, obviously the video version, on my YouTube channel. Subscribe to Guys Time with the Brides. And then the audio version will be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. This episode will be available today. So thank you for joining me again. You guys are amazing, as always. Stay safe out there. And yeah, play some bets. You know, you got hockey still on, you know, NBA, you got March Madness coming up in a couple months, so that'll be very exciting. We'll definitely dive into that a little bit as it gets closer to that, because that's my favorite time of the year for college basketball. You know, spring training starts, I do believe, this week for all the teams, especially our Detroit Tigers if you're in the Michigan area. So, you know, you got baseball right around the corner, and yeah, just have a great rest of the week and stay safe out there. We're getting a lot of snow here in Michigan. I don't know how it is on the rest of the world, but we got snow coming here in the Mitten State. So stay safe out there, everybody. You guys are amazing. Have a great rest of your day and play some bets. All right, take care, guys. Have a good one.